call on Government Order of the Day number 3.
Interrupted debate on the third reading of the Radio New Zealand Amendment Bill.
Members, the last time this bill was being debated, Brett Hudson had the call. He has 9 minutes remaining to speak.
Mr. Speaker.
Brett Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and welcome to this thrilling episode 2 in the short serial that is my contribution on the Radio New Zealand Amendment Bill. When I last spoke on this bill, Mr. Chair, I was noting that this intention here is around a continuation of reliable, independent public radio capability. And the statistics from Radio New Zealand's own survey work shows that 92% of their listeners agree that Radio New Zealand contributes to the development of an informed society. So they have very loyal listeners who think very highly of them. I think even more significantly, though, Mr. Speaker, is that 87% of all New Zealanders agree that it is important for New Zealand to have a public service radio broadcaster. So the work we're looking to put in place through this amendment is something that will be welcomed by New Zealanders and will not only continue Radio New Zealand, but will help to strengthen and expand its capability to prepare it for the future as it embraces particularly, or continues to embrace, digital channels as well as its traditional radio. And I'd just like to cover a little bit around that digital channel, Mr. Speaker, because it is quite phenomenal, really, the achievements that Radio New Zealand have made in what is still relatively a short period of time. So, in their last report, as they appeared before the Government Administration, the Communist Select Committee, they advised us that they now receive, or have received, 36 million page views on radionewzealand.co.nz and the wireless.co.nz, which sounds by any measure for New Zealand a fairly phenomenal growth and level of activity. But then we look into beyond just page views and into the number of unique users that access either of those sites. And for radionz.co.nz, that's 748,000 unique users. That's 75% higher than to June 2015. The wireless, Mr. Speaker, gets 50,000 unique users per month. And what this really is saying to us is that Radio New Zealand's foray into the digital channel to help to expand and strengthen its market reach is working phenomenally well for them, and that the digital channels are complementing their traditional ad-free public broadcast service. And that's precisely what the Chair and the CEO had to say to us at the recent financial review. Now, some members opposite have made a point that funding has not been increased for Radio NZ for some time, and they've played up this as some sort of almost Armageddon level of freeze, whereas the Chair was very clear, not only in this most recent financial review, but in fact, Mr. Speaker, in the previous year's financial review, that Radio New Zealand are confident that they will meet their objectives and their targets under their current level of funding. So quite frankly, they are to be congratulated on the work that they do. Now, this charter that we will put in place through this amendment, Mr. Speaker, is going to strengthen Radio New Zealand's capability to deliver its public broadcasting service, as well as expand further on its digital channels, and I commend this bill to the House.
I call Julian